And therefore, I'd like to propose that we begin with our first duo, an international duo, indeed, that have come from Budapest. And this is back on the roster. And they worked with the museum on a project for an educational wall. And this project is bilingual. So there'll be some presentation in English, some in French.
So if you want to come,
welcome, please do come up on stage. And so each of these duos will be presenting in the following way: 10-minute presentation, 10-minute questions and answers.
So you have 10 minutes of presentation, and after we can share some questions with you.
Bonjour, nous sommes honorés de présenter nos projets.
So, hello, we are very honored to present our project here at this exceptional exhibition, and I'm representing the Photography Museum of Budapest. This is a very old institution. It's actually its 150th birthday in 2022, and in 2022 there was a new building that was opened with exceptional architecture, and this building was designed according to our ideas and our projects. This was something very important because buildings were not adapted to a museum at all. And what we wanted to do was create a space, an educational, interactive space next to the exhibition space. And in fact, what we developed was this content and interactive applications with the Magic Wall team.
Here, and we're very honored to participate in the Innovation TV. Our company, Back & Rosta, is a Hungarian company. We specialize in interactive cultural digitization. And our flagship product is the Magic Wall, which is a giant, interactive, dynamically moving, very beautiful exhibit. We have concluded more than 500 successful projects with different museums all around the world. And our mission is to co-create value together with cultural institutions, museums, science centers, focusing on the newest technologies, but not just for the use, for the sake of using technology, but also to create, especially to create value for visitors and museums.
So in this educational interactive space, we really wanted to have content that allows people to deepen their understanding of our exhibitions, because in fact our exhibitions, we had two exhibitions when we opened, two permanent exhibitions. They were quite unique. One of them, for example, was an exhibition on the subject of ceramics with 4,000 different ceramic pieces, but very little data behind, very little specific information, unique information, because this was kind of an open warehouse almost. And therefore, this is why we developed in this space the Magic Wall, to see up much closer these exhibitions. And then we developed more sophisticated content where we wanted to explain the history of the museum itself, the 150 years of history of this museum. And this content was very difficult to put together because we wanted to present the chronology, the lifespan of the museum on one screen, represent 150 years of time, and also represent an event per year on average. So it was a very, very complicated task.
In the beautiful new Ethnography museum building, we have actually 3 magic walls installed, two large ones next to each other in the ceramic space, and especially in this interactive space, the meta space, which is usually used to host lots of visitors, school children, to have some museum education programs, to explain more about the museum's collection, exhibitions, and so on. And so we have three walls, two, as you see on the video here as well, next to each other. And we also have a third one, which is completely mobile, so they can move it around within the exhibition or within the museum building and use it for different purposes, very multi-purpose. We have developed all these features already together with many museums around the world. So we have a very mature set of features from different existing projects. And this time we made a lot of customization together with the Museum of Ethnography to adapt the interactivity to their specific museum content, which is very rich and includes a lot of different types of exhibitions. The wall itself is very suitable for gamification, to have the visitors interact with museum content in a playful way, in a very relaxed way, to transmit knowledge to them, to give a deep impression, let them remember what they have seen in the museum, and altogether make a very interesting experience in the museum. You see the wall here is used to open up this ceramic space digitally, to create this social interaction and to increase the visibility of the museum. That's more or less the idea for this project.
Our collaboration has been going for 2 years now, so we have developed 3 or 4 different types of content. We could continuously work on improving the content in our work, and we always want to continue to innovate in terms of our content and what we're showing, and our main big project will be to the content for our next exhibition, our next permanent exhibition that will be opening in the spring. And this will be covering 3,000 square meters with 3,000 objects. So this is the largest project of the year that we'll be working on. Continuously developing our solution, so we always improve the content, increase the amount of content that we want to transmit digitally. We work together with the institution. It's not a one-off project, but a long-term interaction between the company and the museum. We also believe that in the future we need to increase several new technological developments. For example, AI for us is very, very important and very useful tool. As you know, there is a lot of development in this space, and not just in museums, but also in education. AI has a lot of new potential to make customized knowledge transmission better. Different students, different people have different needs, which AI can very well solve in a custom way. So this is also something that we do with the Magic Wall, to provide different ways of knowledge transmission to different groups of people. We also focus on people with disabilities. Digital technology is also very useful for children or for people in general with disabilities, and we also develop features specifically to enable their experience in the museum space. We also help the museum to generate new sources of monetization for the exhibitions. So we can also use the Magic Wall for different kinds of events. It can be rented out by the museum for different events. It can be customized for different social activities, which can also generate additional revenue for the museum. This is also something that is used by many different museums. And in general, we continuously add new features for different content, different types of interactive applications.
and try to provide the best on-site interactive experience for visitors, not just one person at a time, but as you see on all of these images, it's a crowd interaction. We emphasize that people can do something together, they can interact with the content as a group, not just as a single person, which will both make a more lasting impression as well as create a more fun experience for museum visitors. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup.
So,
Merci à vous.
thank you very much. Have you got some question?
Does anybody have any questions regarding this presentation? Question.
Est-ce que vous avez des questions éventuellement sur le duo?
Si vous voulez, j'ai une première question pour vous,
Steven.
Steven.
How do you gamify the experience of the audience? How does it work in order to do better gamification with the wall?
So first of all, we have lots of interactive games. So you start from a content which might be a little bit difficult to digest, especially for younger children. Let's say you have historic objects you want to showcase. A traditional museum will put the object in a cabinet and put a small explanation next to it. It might be difficult or might be even not very attention grabbing for some younger children. We can turn these objects into interactive games. For example, we can have a game where the student has to repair an object. But while repairing the object, you have to look at it closely. You examine the patterns on it. You can examine the 3D feeling of it. So this person will have a more lasting, deep impressions about this object. Now, if we take it to one level higher, we can have a game or a quiz or something that is done together by multiple students. For example, a class of students comes to the museum. We can have a knowledge quiz that is run by a lot of students at the same time. It becomes a fun, interactive experience for more of them at the same time. We can also connect it with the exhibition, that you can do a treasure hunt. You have to walk around in the exhibition, not just passively, but you have to actively look for things. You need to collect points. You need to collect clues from the exhibition. And because we also have a very nice mobile version for the Magic Wall. It's not just one single exhibit, but you can also take it in your hand throughout the museum. You can continue the interaction throughout your visit inside the museum. So these are some ways to achieve the gamification.
Thank you very much. Une question peut-être pour
a question for Peter. Have you evaluated the uses and visitor reactions to this wall? Yes, we constantly look at the public's interaction, and what we see is that young people really like this. They immediately know what to do with that, how to play with a magic wall. Perhaps for older people, they don't dare touch it yet. So we do have people who are there to assist the public in using the wall, showing what they can do, how to use it, what's possible. As I said, it does play a very important role in individual visitors, because it's individual visitors that come into these spaces, and the Magic Wall does play a very important role in terms of supporting the guides and with groups and school groups. They can use it together. They can look at objects more closely. It explains through these objects their history, etc. And yes, I did have a second question regarding the museum personnel. How did they behave? How did they interact with it? Do they need training for this in order to use the wall? How was it received by the employees of the museum and the guides, etc.? What was their reaction to it? Well, in fact, from the very beginning, these walls and the content was designed with them in the design process. So the original design of this came from us. What we can do, what's the possibilities. So I was actually the project manager on this large project here regarding the museum, of the history of the museum, and with our colleagues, we designed this, and then we put this into the magic wall, and this is why it was very important that we work together, because there is this design process, there's the technical aspect, of course, and therefore we worked on this together to be able to develop this result. And thank you very much. Yes, in fact, it is very important to insist.
Are there any questions?
Est-ce que le mur peut être modulable en termes de taille par rapport à l'espace muséal?
Can the size of the wall be adapted for a smaller museum, for example?
As I mentioned, we work with several hundreds of museums all around the world, small museums and big museums as well, with small spaces, big spaces, or special format, special shaped spaces we can also work with. We can customize it into any size and any shape, basically. Each wall is different. Each museum is very different. Each museum's content is very different. So we have to make it very unique and individual to each different space. So yes, it is a modular technology. We can assemble it from individual units, and we can make it into all sizes and shapes.
Par exemple, dans notre musée, il y a un mur de 7 mètres de long.
For example, we have a wall which is 7 meters long, another which is 5 meters long, and another which is mobile, which is much smaller. Are there any other questions from anybody? In that case, I have another question.
You can bring some additional revenue to the museum. How does it work?
So not necessarily this museum. We have another museum very close to this one, the Hungarian National Gallery, or the Fine Arts Museum, which very often hosts high-level events. They have a very beautiful reception space, which is the main hall to the museum exhibitions as well. It has hosted several very high-level meetings. For example, Pope Francis went to Hungary a few years ago, and he had a mass inside this building, inside the very room or hall when we had the magic wall installed. And so during this time, we can have a custom content for the specific exhibition. So for example, we can take out the most beautiful Christian-themed objects and have the wall serve this specific event, so to say. And apart from this, the museum also can rent out the space to, for example, banquets. Let's say the National Bank or some large organization can rent this space outside of exhibition hours. And during this time, they can also offer specific content or specific interactivity for these events. And this can then be monetized by the museum.
Merci. Est-ce que il y a eu une réévaluation du billet d'entrée?
Has there been any change made to the admission fee of the museum to take account of the cost of the wall, or is it all included in the admission? It's included. This space, all the visitors who have bought their admission ticket can go into this interactive educational space and use the 2 big magic walls which are there. And could we have an idea of the cost, the budget for the design and the maintenance of the wall? An approximate idea. I don't know that because I'm the general director of the collections, so I don't have any of the detail of that kind. But this magic wall was installed as part of a
de
project
notre nouveau bâtiment, donc
for the construction of our new
intégré dans
building.
l'aménagement
So that was
intérieur
one part of
donc,
the
de notre nouveau bâtiment.
construction of the interior, but I don't know the exact figures for the
rénovation, effectivement.
Okay, thank you very
Écoutez,
much.
un grand merci pour
Thank
cette
you
intervention.
very much for your presentation.
Quel est le numéro de votre stand? What is the number
And
of your
what
stand?
is your stand number?
The number of the stand.
G14.
Ok.
Donc, yes, very close to the Innovation TV.
Ok. Donc,
Right.
vous pouvez retrouver Black and
And
Rosta
you can find them on
au
stand
stand
G14.
T14.
G14.
Et en tout cas, un grand merci.
Thank you very
à
much,
bientôt
and we hope to see you again soon. And well done for your presentation. Thank you very much.